So these are fights that I want to see being made in 2025. Now, one fight in particular is really random. So when we get to that fight, just sit back and enjoy. First off, we have got Robert Whittaker. This first fight is kind of what made me want to make this video. Because when I thought of this first fight, then the ideas just started snowballing. This first one, though, is really out of field. I don't think I've seen anybody speak on this. Now, Robert Whittaker has maybe hinted at moving up the light heavyweight. Look, I like Robert Whittaker. Obviously, the guy just got his face broken by Khamzat Chimaev at UFC 308. Not a good look, but Robert Whittaker is still a top 3 middleweight of all time, in my opinion. The guy is 34 years of age. I still feel like he's got a lot to give, especially in the middleweight division as well. I mean, he's that big of a name. He's that established. One or two more wins and Whittaker's right back in there for a title shot, let's just be honest. And this right here would be the step in the right direction for Robert Whittaker. Nobody thought of this fight, but you're welcome that I've showed you this fight. Robert Whittaker, Baralho, 5-round fight night main event. Let's take that fight to Brazil if you want. There you go. Kyle Baralho obviously coming off that big win over Jared Cannonier when he headlined that fight night card. He beat Paul Craig this year as well. The guy was potentially looking at the Adesanya matchup. I know a lot of people wanted that over the Imavov matchup, but Imavov was ranked number 5. It's a more favourable matchup for Adesanya, in my opinion, anyway, than what Baralho is. Even though I think Adesanya does beat Baralho, but you cannot tell me that Kyle Baralho versus Robert Whittaker over 5 rounds is an absolute money. What a fight that would be. Kyle Baralho has showed that he can strike. He's extremely powerful in there, and the guy does have great grappling. Now, I will start off by saying Robert Whittaker isn't chinny, in my opinion. A lot of people seem to think Robert Whittaker just has no chin nowadays. The guy does. However, we have seen him be hit and hurt before, and Kyle Baralho definitely has the power to hurt Robert Whittaker in there, and he could stop him. This is what makes this fight so interesting, but I feel like Robert Whittaker's craftiness, and I feel like he can give Kyle Baralho a lot of problems in there, especially with that lead hand. And something I noticed in the Cannonier matchup is Kyle Baralho was constantly reaching, trying to grab the lead hand. And I feel like Robert Whittaker would be able to catch him, especially with that right hand, then followed up by the high kick that Whittaker likes to throw. And Whittaker does have good takedown defense, good sprawls. Obviously, we didn't get to see that against Khamzat. It's Khamzat. But I feel like we could definitely see a really fun matchup here between him versus Kyle Baralho. And even though Robert Whittaker is coming off a loss, like I said, still a top 3 middleweight of all time. Him versus Baralho over 5 rounds. If Baralho does get the win, there's your next contender in the middleweight division. If not, Robert Whittaker is right back in there. Maybe looking at one more fight before he is in line to fight for the belt again. This fight makes sense. Robert Whittaker, I believe, is ranked number 3, I think, in the division. He's ranked number 4. Kyle Baralho, who's ranked number 6. Imavov, who's ranked number 5, is fighting Israel Adesanya, who's ranked number 3, I believe, or 2. Either way, in terms of rankings, in terms of stylistic matchups, this is a banger. Make it happen. 5 rounds over in Rio. You're welcome. Next up, Aljamain Sterling. Think he was a bit hard done by against Movsar Evloev. However, I am the only Aljamain Sterling fan on the face of the earth, so maybe I'm not the best guy to listen to about this. But Aljamain Sterling, I thought, was maybe going to retire, but he has clearly stated that he is looking to go again. He's hinted at the matchup against Arnold Allen in Manchester. I would like to see that, but I think Arnold Allen is going to be fighting Yair Rodriguez. That's kind of been what everyone's been thinking for quite some time now. Hear me out for this. Aljamain Sterling is from Jamaica, I think, or he's got Jamaican roots anyway. So how about this? UFC Fight Night Jamaica, if that's possible. I don't know what Jamaica, what they've got on offer. Do they have an arena that would be big enough? Could the UFC make money over there? I don't know. You could have this in the States. But I think moving these fight night cards to places that the UFC will never go for a pay-per-view event, but having fight night cards out there would be cool. And I think they could generate a crowd, especially with someone who has Jamaican roots. We have Aljamain Sterling versus Brian Ortega. Brian Ortega is ranked number 6, coming off 2 back-to-back losses. No, he's not. He's coming off a loss to Diego Lopez. He beat Yair Rodriguez in the fight before that. Sorry, my bad. But Brian Ortega has kind of hinted at moving up to lightweight. Don't want to see it. The guy's not a champion, never been a champion. He's on a losing streak. I don't think he's that big enough of a name to go up and challenge like a Justin Gaethje or Dustin Poirier right away. Wouldn't really make sense. I think he should stay in the featherweight division. And before people say, but this will just be a grappling matchup, you can't tell me that Aljamain Sterling's grappling's boring. Just look at what him and Movsar Evloev were able to do. A very, very exciting matchup. Not a lot of striking exchanges in that fight. Predominantly grappling. In fact, majority was grappling. And it was still a really, really fun fight. And I think we can see that in this Brian Ortega matchup. 5 rounds, fight night main event. Have it over in Jamaica. Aljamain Sterling, Brian Ortega. What a fun matchup that would be. I think you make that. Really, really, I really do. I think it makes complete sense. If Arnold Allen is fighting Yair Rodriguez, who's Brian Ortega going to fight? Josh Emmett. He's going to get folded like a deck chair if he fights Josh Emmett, in my opinion. I think you do Brian Ortega. Aljamain Sterling, I think it's a really, really fun matchup and makes sense. And taking it somewhere new, I think Jamaica would be cool to see an event out there. Next up, right, this is the one that probably is going to need a bit of explaining, okay? Sean O'Malley. Now, people might be thinking, here we go, we're going to see Petr Yan. That's the fight I want to see, but I don't think we're going to see it. Sean O'Malley will not fight Petr Yan if the belt's not on the line. Again, in my opinion, he's fought him before. We've seen what happened. Robbery, whatever you want. It was a very close fight. We've seen the damage that Sean O'Malley went through in that matchup. I don't think we're going to see it if a belt isn't on the line. I'm just going to be honest with you. But I think this is a matchup. Jose Aldo, obviously coming off a loss to Mario Batista, but fuck that guy. I hate him with all my heart. I hate the way he fights. Get him out of the UFC or put him in there with Pereira. Whatever one you want. But yeah, I think this fight could actually happen because Jose Aldo, the UFC try and paint out the picture that Sean O'Malley is like the next Conor McGregor. They've always tried to build him up that way. Maybe they won't now because of all the stuff that's happened with McGregor. But however, Jose Aldo, a legend, arguably one of the GOATs of the sport, obviously in the featherweight division, not bantamweight, but the guy does have good wins in this division as well, even though he is ranked number 11. I just feel like the name value, Sean O'Malley, Jose Aldo, like that could headline like a fight night out in Phoenix. These are fights that I think will headline. Maybe the next one won't be, the last one I don't think will be on a fight night card, although if it was, it'd be a banger. This probably wouldn't be either, to be honest, but I'm just thinking UFC Fight Night Phoenix, Sean O'Malley in his hometown against Aldo, big thing. They obviously did compare him to Conor. Would O'Malley won't be able to beat him better than McGregor did because McGregor knocked him out in 13 seconds, but you know what I mean. And yes, Aldo is a great striker, but Aldo's biggest downfall in his career has been in there with elite level strikers, and that is exactly what Sean O'Malley is. I know it's a bit of a random one, but I think it'll be a really, really fun fight. And finally, this fight that we're going to talk about now, the last one, doesn't really need much to talk about. We've got Justin Gaethje, Dan Hooker. Just pain, violence, brutality. What a fun matchup that would be. You cannot deny it. Justin Gaethje, Dan Hooker. I think it is a fight we are going to get. This will not be on a fight night card, I don't think. I think this will be like a co-main or a feature fight on a pay-per-view. Same with the O'Malley Aldo one if it does happen. Either way though, I would love to see these fights over 5 rounds, all of them. Justin Gaethje versus Dan Hooker is going to be a really fun one. Justin Gaethje, thankfully, after that brutal knockout loss to Max Holloway, has taken a lot of time off, and I feel like that will really benefit him. He's not extremely old. He is 36, but he's taken an extreme amount of damage. But so is Dan Hooker. Dan Hooker isn't the youngest of fighters either. He's 34. So there's only 2 years between the guys. Both guys are damage-ridden throughout their career. I think Justin Gaethje would win this matchup, but what a fun scrap that would be. So yeah, those are matchups that I would like to see personally in 2025. Let me know what fights you would like to see, and who do you think would win these matchups in the comments below. And as always, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that good stuff, and I'll see you again in the next one.